Okay, next is my power steering fluid and reservoir. And if you follow this hose back, it goes under and it comes up and around to this silver piece. This is your power steering pump. So power steering reservoir and fluid connects over to your power steering pump. It's the silver one. And then the other thing I talk about at the same time is back here, this red piece with the gold. This is your air compressor, because the air compressor and the power steering pump, just like the alternator and the water pump, some of the verbiage is the same. Well, most of it's the same. So I talk about these three together. So once you're on this side, you're looking at your power steering coolant and reservoir. You can say, I would check my power steering fluid and reservoir the same as the coolant. So when you're on the other side, you cannot say that you would check the other side the same way because you're not looking at it. So in order to say that you're going to check something the same as something else, you have to actually be looking at the item that you're checking. So my power steering fluid and reservoir, I would check the same as my coolant. This is my power steering pump, and this is my compressor. So my power steering pump, say it with me, securely mounted, not damaged, working properly, no loose or missing nuts or bolts. Now I look over at the belt because instead of being belt driven, it is gear driven. So that's how I remember that. And I even say that instead of belt driven, it is gear driven. And it's a pump, right? So power steering pump, it's not leaking. And then air compressor, say it with me, securely mounted, not damaged, working properly, no loose or missing nuts or bolts. Again, it is not belt driven, it is gear driven, and it is not leaking air or fluids. So even though both of those are not leaking, because the air compressor can leak fluids and air, we need to specify that. So all together, one more time I have, this is my power steering coolant and reservoir. Come on. This is my power steering pump. Oh, my phone is not agreeing with me right now. This is my power steering pump, and this is my air compressor. I would check my power steering reservoir and fluid the same as the coolant. My power steering pump is securely mounted, not damaged, working properly, no loose or missing nuts or bolts. Instead of belt driven, it is gear driven, it is not leaking. My air compressor is securely mounted, not damaged, working properly, no loose or missing nuts or bolts. Also gear driven, not leaking fluid or air.